All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. A few things to get to before we jump into the chat. First things first, you noticed this weekend that Chris Gabehart was on top of Ty Gibbs' pit. Of course, Tyler Allen is still the crew chief on that car. However, he is being overseen or coached up, however you want to look at it, by Chris Gabehart. And the reason for that is simple. You've got all of the other Joe Gibbs cars. All of the other Joe Gibbs cars are already into the playoffs. So now they are trying to get the 54 into the playoffs. So they're going to do an all hands on deck approach to this. And hopefully that will get Ty Gibbs into the playoffs as well. So kind of a no brainer from that aspect. However, if you're Tyler Allen, do you feel really good about it? But then again, if you're Tyler Allen, you've had this far in the season to make some moves and get your guy into the playoffs. So that's probably how they're looking at it from that situation. Overall, I don't really think it's a huge, big deal. He is a rookie crew chief. Having somebody else step in there with some experience like a Chris Gabehart, I don't think is really going to be an overall big deal. I don't think it's going to be a confidence crusher for anybody. I don't think he's worried about Chris Gabehart taking that job. Now, maybe if he doesn't improve as it goes, maybe later on, but I think Joe Gibbs is going to let him have at least a full season with Ty Gibbs and try to build something over there. To the young crew chief, young driver situation combination, I think is something that they're going to at least try out for the remainder of this season and see how it goes. I think he's got at least that long. So interesting, but I don't think there's a whole lot to it, but definitely something interesting to keep an eye on as we go forward. Other big news, Ware Racing apparently sold for $100 million. So super interesting as far as that goes. Huge chunk of change. I don't think anybody knew that the or over 100 million or whatever. I don't know exactly what the numbers would be, but I don't think anybody thought that it would sell for that much, especially given it's Ware Racing. It's not like they were buying a Hendrick charter or anything like that, or the Hendrick assets. They would go with a Hendrick charter or anything like that. Joe Gibbs Racing, Penske, whoever you want to look at as far as that type of stuff goes. So interesting fodder for thought there, and what's going to go on with that particular charter. Will it go to Legacy? Will Ware Racing be able to keep it? All of those things still up in the air. We'll see what happens when the judge makes a ruling on that. Of course, Ware countersuing Legacy with that ongoing drama and saga. So be interesting to see which way that goes, especially given the bigger news that happened earlier today, where Daniel Suarez announced that he is not going to be coming back to Trackhouse Racing. An organization that he was the original driver. He's been there. This is his fifth year, be his fifth full-time year with them, his ninth overall full-time season, 33 years of age. He does have 2 wins in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Both of those wins have come at Trackhouse in the last 3 years, I want to say. And he does have the Xfinity Series title from back when he was an Xfinity Series race car driver. So it begs the question, with Daniel Suarez moving on from Trackhouse Racing, moving on from Daniel Suarez, where does Suarez land? And that goes back to the question of the Rick Ware charter, because if you look across the whole scope of NASCAR, it looks like there are not really going to be any openings at the Cup Series level on a competitive race car side for Daniel Suarez to get into, unless it is either the Rick Ware situation. Does he get into a Rick Ware car where Cody Ware is his teammate? The investors that have bought into that, do they put money into it to make that a organization that will run up front and be fast? All kinds of questions around that. Does he hang around for a year until Dodge comes into the sport and once again becomes like the anchor driver? He was the anchor driver for Trackhouse, right? Does he become one of the anchor drivers, one of the original drivers when Dodge makes its comeback into the Cup Series? If Dodge is allowed to have some charters, which NASCAR has said for a new manufacturer, they have some charters set aside. So I think all kinds of things happening maybe 2 years from now, whenever Dodge gets in, maybe Suarez comes up then. But for this immediate season coming up, the 2026 season, where does Daniel Suarez go? A lot of people speculating maybe you go back down to the Xfinity Series and work your way up. Daniel Suarez has been adamant that he doesn't want to go back down, at least in the past, has been very adamant that he doesn't want to go back down to the Xfinity Series. because he wants to be a Cup Series driver. Remember when he drove the number 96 for one season? That was an underfunded team. He didn't have a lot of results, but he drove that car just to stay in the Cup Series. Does he do something similar next season? Because, of course, Daniel Suarez has a ton of sponsorship behind him as well. And that is a weird situation I never thought we would ever have to address with the charters. But we now have more drivers with funding than we do charters, which is a really interesting situation to have going on right now, coming up for next season. And of course, Trackhouse is going to go with, so where Daniel Suarez goes, who knows, right? So, but of course, looking at the Trackhouse side, who they're going to promote, Connor Zilich, 19 years of age. So you're going from a 33-year-old to an 18-year-old. I'm sorry, 18-year-old. He'll be 19 next year when he, probably who they go with. They haven't officially said it, but he'll be 19 next year. So 24 hours of Daytona winner, 12 hours of Sebring winner. He's won in the Trans Am cars championships. He's, I think, currently top 5 in Xfinity Series points. He has won 2 races in Xfinity, COTA and Pocono, at 18 years of age. And the only question remains, is it too soon? I think the only question about Connor Zilich is it too soon to move him up, or is this the perfect time? That, of course, is the poll question. So jump in there and answer that if you would like to. But at 18 years old, is it too soon to move him up to the Cup Series? There's 2 kind of arguments for this. The first argument is the Joey Logano argument. Joey Logano, a champion now, but Joey Logano, when he was moved up to the Cup Series, a lot of people feel like he was moved up way too early. Sliced bread. He was the last guy I can really remember that had this much hype behind him. And they finally moved him up to the Cup Series. And it took him 3 or 4 years to really get going, actually, until he went to Penske before he fully really got going and became the Joey Logano that a lot of people thought he would be in the Xfinity Series. But, of course, and the change of scenery might have helped that too. So is Connor Zilich going to sort of be in that boat, or, sort of take a Jeff Gordon route? Jeff Gordon, by the second half of his rookie season, was starting to compete. You were starting to see the flashes. So does Connor Zilich in his rookie season, he's probably going to have a rough start to it. It's probably going to be a struggle to begin with. But if you remember at COTA, even though he got wrecked out early, he was turning some of the fastest laps, if not the fastest laps at COTA with a damaged race car. So he, I think, still is always going to be a threat at road courses, even next year as a rookie. So I think he'll have that. But is he going to be sort of more like in that Jeff Gordon vein where his rookie year, he might struggle a little bit, but he'll sort of just get going pretty soon, pretty early as a rookie? That is basically what remains to be seen. But that is the gamble I think that Trackhouse looks like they are ready to take here on a young Connor Zilich. So that is basically the rundown, and that's what's up. But yeah, big news. You had an inkling. You kind of knew that Daniel Suarez was on his way out, but they announced it pretty early. So you imagine at some point they're going to start announcing the Connor Zilich news and who's going to sponsor him and all that good stuff. So it'll be very interesting next season with Ross Chastain, Shane Van Gisbergen, and then Connor Zilich. They're going to be dynamite at road courses. Trackhouse will be dynamite at road courses. And can Trackhouse continue to improve and get better and better and become a top tier on the level of a Hendrick Chevrolet A-tier team going forward? So that'll be the interesting storylines for next year. And where does Daniel Suarez go? So, all right, let's jump into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. Once again, the poll question is, Zilich coming to Cup allegedly too soon, perfect timing, good to get experience now for the future, or they should have kept Suarez? That is the poll question. So let's jump into the chat already. Wow, you guys are already popping off. Let's see. Where shall we start here? Bye-bye Suarez. Hope he lands a ride somewhere, but I think his days are numbered in Cup. Let me turn this off real quick. But I think his days are numbered in Cup, says Napa Racing fan. So Napa Racing fan doesn't think he's going to find a ride in Cup. That is interesting in itself. First vote, first like, says Jamie Schweitzer. Out here, when I hear Connor being moved up way too young, it's just like they did with Joey Logano. I say balderdash. He's now a 35-year-old 3-time Cup champion. So there you go. Even the good guy, I'm glad you pointed that out. Even the example of Joey Logano is an example of success. It just took him a little bit longer to get to that level of success than a lot of people were really hoping that it would take for sure. So even the moved him up too early, Joey Logano example is an example of success. Good call there, Jamie Schweitzer. Cassandra saying, what's up to Jamie? What if Connor is taken that spot in the 99? We can all assume, says Joseph Wooten. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion that it will be Connor Zilich in the 99. I don't see why they would put anybody else in there for 1 year and then put Connor Zilich in there the next year. Hot in North Idaho today. Prayers for the fallen firefighters. Indeed. Terrible situation up there. And you know, all you can do is offer your support, thoughts and prayers in a situation like that. Terrible incident for sure. I think Suarez is worth keeping, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you put him unless he's got more funding than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Maybe in the 47. Other than that, Ware Racing. Colleague, maybe if Ty Norris wants to if Ty Norris somehow sees this as a way to irritate Justin Marks, who, in my opinion, he doesn't have a lot of love for, and we'll put it that way. But that's just my speculation, my opinion on that. I think Suarez, let's see. I said last year when Zilich was signed for JRM, he was going to replace Suarez. Yep, and just kept making more cup starts and winning. SVG winning Mexico, that was it. Says OJ and Toothpaste. So there you go. OJ and Toothpaste said the SVG win was the deciding factor for Trackhouse. I think they had decided long before that because Suarez on the Dale Jr. download seemed like he already kind of knew which way things were going to go as far as that situation played out. OJ and Cassandra saying what's up to each other. Let's see. OJ saying I'll rewatch the stream later. He's going to the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert in San Fran. Have a good time. Stay safe, my friend. See you guys. Have a good stream. Let's see. That Jones boy racking up top fives, says Delmer Kaufman. Indeed. Eric Jones is on a heater. Legacy itself is on a heater as well. So Legacy is another one. If Legacy gets that charter from Ware Racing, is that maybe a landing spot for Daniel Suarez? I don't think so. According to reports, they've got their eye from Bob Pockrass. They've got their eyes sort of on Jesse Love from what Bob Pockrass is reporting. So I don't think even Legacy, if they get the charter from Ware Racing, however that legal drama plays out, it'll be interesting one way or the other. But I don't think he'll land there either way it turns out. I thought I heard Steve Letarte say Suarez is not going to be back at Trackhouse. I really like Jones, says Cassandra. Glad he got back in the Toyota camp. Eric Jones drove for Chevrolet for a little while, now back in the Toyota camp with Legacy for sure. Hope Junior Motorsports picks up Suarez, says Cassandra. That would be probably, if you want to go back down, that would be a great landing spot for Daniel Suarez. He'll immediately contend for championships and things like that. Ty Dillon eliminated your favorite driver, says in between the lanes. Indeed. Ty Dillon, he said so. He became, for the people that don't like Denny Hamlin, Ty Dillon just picked them up as fans, no doubt about it for sure, because he definitely beat your favorite driver. Interesting that he called that out, and Denny Hamlin loved it. Denny Hamlin's podcasting cohort, whatever you'd like to call it, he was not so much in love with it. You got your ears lowered, says one wise guy. Indeed, got a little haircut going on. What's up in between the lanes? PC gone rogue. What's up? Shout out to Ty Dillon, says Cassandra. Grab Zilly while you can. Suarez is a nice guy, but a mediocre driver, says Shaw. And that's probably. So here's kind of where I'm at with it. I hate to see Suarez go because Suarez was the cornerstone, kind of like Corey LaJoie was going over to Spire. He was going to help Spire. He was going to be the cornerstone guy, kind of like Michael McDowell over there at Front Row Motorsports. It's kind of hard to watch a Michael McDowell go away too. He was the first driver. He was the cornerstone driver. Always hard to see that driver go. I had those same emotions in a much bigger extent, much better driver, much more story. Emotions when Mark Martin left Roush, RFK Fenway, whatever you want to call it today. But yeah, whenever there's a guy that's at an organization for a long period of time, it is really, really hard to see them leave and go somewhere else. So that from that aspect of it, it's sad to see Daniel Suarez go. But from the business side of it, the business aspect of it, I understand it. He's 33 years old. He's only got 2 wins. You're going to bet on this 18-year-old driver, Connor Zilich, that he can get more wins. Rosie's saying, hey, everyone, please hit the like button on your way in. Much appreciated. What's up, Rosie? Always good to see you in the chat, my friend. And if you would like to, feel free to hit that like button. BB allegedly replacing Daniel Suarez. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'll be driving for Trackhouse anytime soon. I'm not anywhere near the level of Connor Zilich. But then again, I have no problem admitting that because very few are. I think we all knew it was coming, but I hope Daniel lands somewhere decent where he can still be competitive. That's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I understand it from a business perspective. And Daniel Suarez saying, you know, he wishes Trackhouse. He's a class act all the way. He's wishing Trackhouse the best of luck in the future and all that. Think everything over there went good for him. Obviously, you always hate to leave, but or you know, get let go, however it played out. But just an unfortunate situation, but always a class act over there with Daniel Suarez for sure. Cassandra's saying, what's up, on wise guy? Suarez should go to Xfinity and be a champ, says Shaw. No, he's already, and from Daniel Suarez's perspective, if he wants to stay in Cup, his immediate answer to that, of course, is he's already an Xfinity Series champion. How many Xfinity Series championships does he really need? So I think, to me, for sure, he's proved he's a Cup Series level driver. Now, he might not be your first pick, but I think he has for sure proven that he is a Cup Series level talent. I don't think that is necessarily in question at all. But obviously, if you want to see him in the Xfinity Series, he's definitely an Xfinity Series championship caliber driver because he's already got an Xfinity Series championship, no doubt about it. Daniel Suarez vlog for Atlanta. He was absolutely devastated after the race. Like, that was his best chance to get a win this year, and now it's gone, says Dirty Duff. Yeah, and given the context now, I think you kind of see why he was more devastated. I think he wanted to win that race for more reasons than he thought it was just his best chance, for sure. Breakard reported firsthand knowledge of it being tens of millions, over 100 million for Ware Racing sales price. So in the 150 millions, I would say. So interesting for sure. So there you go. I'll have to check out. Appreciate Matt from Breakard dropping the inside scoop there. So yeah, let's just throw a number out there, 150 million. So it sold for 150 million. And I think that guy in the interview said he thinks the charters are worth 75 million right now. So from that math, that makes sense, right? If he paid 75 million a pop for both of them, that puts it on Breakard's number, does it not? So yeah, shout out to Breakard as always. I want Dale Jr. to bring him to JRM, says Cassandra. So yeah, Dale Jr. possibly bringing him to JRM. That seems to be a lot of popular sentiment. He's already got a win with him, you know. Heard a lot of people saying maybe he comes back to Toyota, drives the 19. A lot of Toyota fans might want to see him back with Joe Gibbs Racing or something like that. Let's see. I think the new owner at Rick Ware makes it appear that Suarez is a possibility, says their depth. So there you go. The new owner of Rick Ware Racing, maybe he's looking at a Suarez type guy because looks the new ownership group wants to spend money. But if you get a driver that find him, that makes life a whole lot easier. So it would be an attractive for them and their extra charter. Of course, that is not the son of Rick Ware. NHL and NBA free agency going on currently. NFL offseason as of now is quiet. Yeah, the only NFL offseason news I've heard is the people sniping at Debo for being out of shape, and then Debo showed up and he's been working with a drill guy and he's in shape. So that's the only real offseason news I've seen as far as that goes. MLB and NASCAR in full swing though. Silly season alert. Suarez has talks with BJ McLeod of Live Fast Racing, says Sir Wood Rooster. Well, certainly, I think that is an option that is on the table. Like, I know you're joking about it, Wood Rooster, but I think from what we've seen in the past, I think that is most certainly an option that is on the table because we saw him run the 96. I think for Gaunt Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, was who he ran for that 1 year before he got to Trackhouse. So I don't think it's necessarily out of the question. Zilich will be fine with this style of car, says Shaw. So there you go, Shaw betting that Zilich doesn't have any struggles. He's just going to come in there and immediately make a big impact. Will Brown Will Brown make an impact at the Chicago street race this weekend? Easy for me to say, huh, Dirty Duff? Yeah, for sure. Will Brown make an impact? He's definitely the same caliber of driver as SVG. He is a winning. Well, I'm not going to say same caliber, but he is a winning for sure driver in the V8 Supercar series. So yeah, we'll see if he can have the same type of results that SVG had when he jumped into the Chicago car. Going to be a taller order though, because these drivers have more laps around that track now. Everything was even when SVG jumped in it, so not exactly apples to apples. Sliced bread is old toast nowadays, says Shah. So there you go. Sliced bread is old toast. He's getting on up there in years, according to Shah. I think he's still only early 30s though for Big Joe. Is he older or younger than Suarez? Yeah, so he's 35 and Suarez is 33. Crazy. That's how young Joey Logano was when he got into the sport. You think about how long Joey Logano's been around, and Suarez, I didn't even realize this was his 9th year, but Suarez has been around for a while too. But it's crazy that Joey Logano and Daniel Suarez are the same age, and Joey Logano's probably got 5 or 6, if not more, seasons on Daniel Suarez, which is just shows you how young he was when he moved up into the Cup Series. Somebody feel free to do the math there for me if you really want to. But yeah, look how many more seasons does Joey Logano got than Suarez, and they're only like 2 years difference in age. That's crazy. Are you kind of surprised that Trackhouse didn't choose to run Zilich at Chicago this week? Says Dirty Diff. I think when Justin Marks said it was just such a inconvenience, or they didn't have enough resources to run the extra car, I think that was kind of the end of it. I'm not on one level I'm surprised. On another level, because of those comments from Justin Marks, I'm not surprised, if that makes any sense. I think they're having enough problems just getting that third car to be as fast as the other cars. I don't think SVG, except for the road courses, has had necessarily the same level team that the other teams at Trackhouse have had this year. Now Ross is the only oval guy on the team. I'm sure it may help him on road courses, but I'm sure they'll be looking to him for help on ovals. Says Dirty Def. Yeah, indeed. Ross is in the leadership role. I think Ross was already in the leadership role, but Suarez had tenure. So you go from and that's another thing. You go from a situation where Daniel Suarez has been there since the inception. So that's going to be a change for the teams too, to sort of work around and wrap their heads around. But yeah, I think Ross was already sort of in a leadership type role, as it were. Jenny Schweitzer saying, "What's up to Cassandra? I'll see your Joey Logano and raise you a Ty Gibbs. He was moved up too fast," says Dirty Def. Yeah, but Ty Gibbs, it was a different. So I don't count him or Chase Elliott. Him and Chase Elliott, I agree with you, did have the same level of hype as Joey Logano, but they had a level of hype behind them because of their last name, whereas Joey Logano and Connor Zilich have a hype behind them because of nobody had heard of anybody with their last name, right? They sort of made a name on their own. You know what I mean? So different, definitely the same level of hype, but different reasons for the hype behind them for sure. And I'm not taking anything away from any of those drivers. All of those drivers very successful, and I think all of those drivers Xfinity Series champs as well, if I'm not mistaken. Suarez drives the new Legacy charter car. So yeah, Elliott for sure, Ty Gibbs for sure, Suarez for sure, and Joey Logano was a champion too. So yeah, all those guys were Xfinity Series champs too. So none of them were slouches. Suarez drives the new Legacy charter car after a year in Xfinity, says Jamie Schweitzer. I think they've got their eyes set on Jesse Love. If you look at Jimmy Johnson's comments, he has consistently talked about Jesse Love being a really good race car driver. So that would be my guess. And that's if Legacy can get a charter, because where is Legacy going to get that charter if they don't get it from the Rick Ware situation, however that plays out. So that whole deal is, crazy. It's all shaky. It's all up in the air. Let's see. Suarez to Colleague in 2026, followed by a switch to Dodge in 2027, says Timber Race. Maybe. We'll have to see how that plays out and what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But that's definitely a possibility. That's definitely a possibility for sure. Thoughts on Chris Gabehart being the main voice now on the 54? Tyler Allen still the crew chief. But wouldn't that kind of be like a slap in the face if you're Allen? It depends on who you are as a person. You can look at it as a slap in the face, or you can look at it as a challenge that is, as soon as, you get him locked into the playoffs, maybe retake over your role and prove that you are the crew chief that they hired and put there. People can get motivated in different ways, or you can take it as a slap in the face, go to another organization and be the crew chief that they thought you were, but just do it for another organization, right? So all kinds of different scenarios to use that as motivation, but just definitely don't have a pity party for yourself and use it for self-loathing. That would be my only, that if it was me, that's how I would approach it. I wouldn't, I would do my best to not let it get me down. I would use it as motivation, use it for a positive outcome. I saw on the Pat McAfee show on Instagram that one half of the toxic table of Ty Schmidt dressed up as Dale Sr. says in between the lanes. Yeah, I don't watch the Pat McAfee show like that, so I don't know. Did you know that Ty Dillon texted Denny after he said to make sure they were okay? LOL, says Dirty Def. That would be funny. That would be funny if it happened. Hello, fellow YouTuber here. Just subbed a day ago. Great channel. Keep up the great work. Appreciate it, NASCAR News Kid. So go check out NASCAR News Kid. See what he's got going on. I appreciate the support, my friend. As far as I'm concerned, Chastain built Trackhouse, says Shaw. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people look at it that way, but for certain, Daniel Suarez was the first driver there. No doubt about it. So, yeah, I mean, you can look at it. Technically, Justin Marks built Trackhouse, but it is what it is. Tis what it is, as far as that goes. Great win for Chase Elliott at Atlanta. The only thing now, the 9 team needs to work on better setup off the truck so that they are not fighting from behind. Yeah, qualifying and restarts for sure. Joseph Wooten, good commentary there. Qualifying, they definitely need to work on, and I would say pit stops. If you look at his pit stop stuff, or restarts, I should say. Restarts, he loses a lot of positions on restarts. So actually it's restarts and what was the graph? Dirty Def, you showed the graph. I think it was restarts, road, and qualifying are the 3 things that they were sort of lacking relative to his other Hendrick teammates. Sorry, BB, but there is just now no way Suarez gets a Cup championship, says Shaw. I didn't say he'd get a Cup championship. I said he's a Cup Series level driver. 2 totally different things. Totally different things. There's only going to be a handful of guys that get championships at the Cup Series level anyway. Be curious to hear what Ross thoughts on Suarez leaving. He definitely knows it's a business, but it seems like him and Suarez had a pretty good relationship. Yeah, no doubt about it, man. That's definitely it's definitely a hard situation when you're losing a teammate like that that you're tight with, for sure. Shout out to Breakhard. Indeed, shout out to Breakhard, doing a great job over there with his deal, for sure. I'm feeling Suarez to Colleague for 2026, Suarez to 16, AJ to Xfinity. Josh Williams out, or Suarez to Colleague in Xfinity in 2026 with an agreement for Cup in 2027. Either way, Josh Williams is out, says Jesse Daly. Yeah, that's certainly a situation that could play to fruition. And it also would play into, like someone mentioned that Colleague is going to Dodge. If Colleague goes to Dodge, that plays into the theory that Daniel Suarez is part of the Dodge deal too, because he seemed to be excited in that Dale Jr. interview. He didn't seem down. He seemed like there were a lot of options out there for him, and he just couldn't announce them yet. So I feel like he's got some things lined up. So I think he feels, from my understanding of the interview, the way I was reading the body language, which could go either way, whatever. I think he felt pretty confident about what he was going to do next season, whatever that may be. Nice Austin Dillon Richmond win diecast by UBB. Indeed, it finally came. We finally got it. The man that broke the spin to win, wreck to win NASCAR system. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, what's up, my friend? Good to see you on here. Nice avatar, Dragon Ball Z in the house. Brickyard Race Marks, 600th overall consecutive Cup start for Joey. Petty only one win. His 600th race start, World 600. May 25th, 1975. There you go. There is your history fact for the day. Jamie Schweitzer saying 35. Sources tell me Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh for Minka Fitzpatrick. Hey, so there you go. Yeesh BB, not saying Zilich will adapt instantly, but I think he has a good skill. The cars of this type, says Shaw. Yeah, running Trans Am cars and stuff like that. He probably does have a better feel. Next best maybe to SVG or something like that. Will Brown has like 3 supercar wins, so definitely not an SVG yet. But he's better on a street course than most of the fields. Says they're yeah, and he can heel toe where some of these other, if that's an advantage, where some of these other drivers weren't heel toeing. Old Toast laughing my face off, says Cassandra. What are your thoughts on Chase Briscoe? Says NASCAR News Kid. Chase Briscoe, if he can clean up the DNFs. He's sort of a Ricky. In my opinion, he's a more talented Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He can get more wins at more different type of tracks than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. can, but they both have the same problem. And I would actually include Josh Berry into this too, because Josh Berry has a lot of DNFs, but he can also win just about anywhere as well. I just got to clean up the DNFs and become more consistent. I think that's the 2 things that he needs to that all those drivers need to work on. Ross is the moose, says Shy. Indeed. Well, Zilich did run last week at Atlanta in Cup. I'm at Echo Park Speedway. Says they're deaf. Yeah, he did pretty good there, in my opinion. Well, everybody's car was beat up except for a few. Like that idea. Jamie says Cassandra Cletus does it for Dale. I do it for Ross. Says Shy. Ty Gibbs also had the hype because he won the ARCA Championship and Xfinity Championship, and then went to Cup. That's another reason I thought the hype was high for Gibbs. Yeah, you could look at his win percentage, but at the same time, I didn't buy into the hype. I think let me clarify this. I think Ty Gibbs is going to be good, but I didn't buy into this hype that he was this all-coming world beater of a race car driver, because everybody was pointing to the 26% win percentage that he had in the Xfinity Series or ARC or wherever it was. They kept pointing to that and saying that. But he was also sitting in the absolute best equipment. He was he was in the absolute best situation you could be in, right? We've seen guys go over to Joe Gibbs Racing and do really well that haven't necessarily done well elsewhere. So if you put a guy in those cars that were doing that well, that is above average talent, you get what you get with Ty Gibbs, right? So I think Ty Gibbs is really good. I think he's a much higher than above average talent. How good? He's so young, man. You just don't know how good he's going to be. But I do think he is a Cup Series level driver. But I never bought into the hype that he's, I don't know, whatever you want to say, the next Kyle Busch, right? Because he's a Toyota guy. I never bought into that hype that, he's the next Kyle Busch or anything like that. But I do think he is going to be a very good race car driver for sure. 6 more wins, and Joey will be making his 800th career Cup start. He'll be 41, says Jesse Daly. So there you go. Let's see. The great thing about Joey Logano is he's always been good and has always been an ass, says Sha. So there you go. Sha giving his I wish you would just tell us how you really feel, Sha. Just please try not to hold anything back next time. I watched Pat McAfee show today. It was great, says Cassandra. Joey has never done anything wrong, according to him. I don't know if you've ever met a race car driver, Sha, but that is a accurate description of most race car drivers, I would say. And sometimes their parents too. Joey has never done, let's see, Pitbull came back to a NASCAR to start a team and signs Daniel Suarez is my hot take, says Joseph Wooten. So there you go, Pitbull. He defended himself on stage here recently as well. So good for him and much appreciated. So yeah, maybe he does come back to the Cup Series and buys into the next team that Suarez goes to. And somebody, I think I was talking to somebody earlier. I think it was maybe Rosie on Discord or somebody on Instagram, and she said maybe that's the reason that Pitbull pulled out of Trackhouse. It was somebody on Discord, I want to say. If Legacy versus Rick Ware last beyond 2026 and Legacy buys another charter, then wins in court mid-case in 2027, yeah, that would give them 4. So if that was the situation, they would have to give up one of them because you can only own 3. Aaron Flynn, appreciate it, my friend. Fist bump for sure. Appreciate the super chat there. And let's see, what's the there we go. I'll do the emoji from the super chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, Ty Dillon actually texted Denny to make sure they were okay after that. Thought that they might have been funnier than the statement itself. Says they're deaf. Yeah, Ty Dillon, he seems to be he's not a trash talker. Let's put it that way for sure. I don't think he's part of the trash talk game. Let's see. Zilich has won everything and has been including the first and only American to win the FIA kart. Yeah, I forgot about the karting championship. Good call, Bruce Garvey. Trophy in Europe in 2020, won previously by Charles Leclerc as well. I think Lake Speed also. Fun fact about Lake Speed. I don't know if it was that particular karting title, but Lake Speed won it, and the guy that Lake Speed beat to win the World Karting Championship was some dude named Ayrton Senna. So yeah, crazy but true. That's one of those crazy but true facts about life. And obviously both very talented, but both had very different levels of success at the top levels of the sport that they ended up choosing after karting to pursue. Just check the graph again, and Elliott has struggled at restarts and passing. So that's what it was. Passing and restarts is what Elliott needs to work on, and for sure to Joseph's point, they do need to work on. They definitely need to work on qualifying as well, especially if you can't pass or restart well. Austin Dillon going to Trackhouse. LOL says chatbot, bro. So there you go. The NASCAR chatbot is in the house, and he's predicting Austin Dillon to Trackhouse. So there you go. Will Bowman finally gets some respect since this is the fourth time he has pushed a teammate to victory. Elliott twice, and Byron once, and Larson once, says Jason Kearney. Appreciate the super chat, my friend. Always appreciated. That's a great point. So he's a great teammate, and obviously manufacturer team orders. Atlanta is a super speedway. It is a teamwork type of track. But it always seems like Alex Bowman is the pusher and never the pushee. So when will Alex Bowman be the pushee? When will they hook up your boy Alex over there at Hendrick? When are we going to get the all hands on deck over there at Hendrick to get the teamwork to help Alex Bowman get into the championship? What is it? The round of 16, whatever they call it now, the playoffs, the chase. At one point, do we start calling Ty Gibbs a bust? Says Brian Karsten. Well, I mean, you can call him a bust whenever you would like to, 100%. Like that's up to however you define busts in any sport. To me, I'm going to let his whole career, for me, period, I'm going to let somebody's whole career play out before I call them a bust. And I say this because I'm old and I've seen a lot of drivers, sort of come and go. But I'll tell you this, if you took Sterling Marlin and you looked at the first half of his career and he never got another opportunity after the first half of his career, you would have been like, that guy was a bust. He wasn't any good. Second half of Sterling Marlin's career, that guy, he's out there winning all kinds of stuff, competing for championships, never got a championship, was always a contender for one. Martin Truex Jr., first half of his career, not necessarily, what he wanted. He had sort of a Neil Bonnet-esque ability to go to the right team at the wrong time. He went to really good teams at the worst possible time to go to them. But the second half of his career, he got with the right teams at the right time, and he showed what he can do, right? He even had to go back down to the Xfinity Series and come back up. So it just depends on when you look at a driver and what part of their career you look at. So as far as for me personally, when I would wait to call someone a bust, I'm going to wait until they retire. I want to see their whole career and how it plays out. So, and you can look at it in reverse. Ryan Newman would be the reverse of that. Ryan Newman, the early part of his career, he looked like he was going to be the next Cup Series champion. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Had some crazy good seasons early on for Penske, but after he left Penske, he never had the same type of success at any other team that he went to, and so he would be the reverse of a Martin Truex. Started off really fast, didn't have the results later on in his career. So for me to call somebody a bust, they have to be retired, and I have to look at the entirety of their career, as well as the opportunities they had. Some guys like Ward Burton, some people maybe would call Ward Burton a bust. But if I look at Ward Burton, I look at Ward Burton and look at him as a really good race car driver that overachieved with equipment that nobody else could really win in. So great question. I don't know. Suarez said in his interview with Junior that something would be announced in a couple months. So maybe he already has something lined up, says Jesse Daly. That's exactly what I'm remembering as well. Good catch. Good call there, Jesse Daly. I think he's got something lined up already. He just can't announce it or talk about it. and that and it seemed like he felt fairly confident about it. So it remains to be seen, but it'll be interesting when he announces it, and that'll be the next. There's not going to be a lot of silly season news this year, but that'll be the next, I think, big story as far as silly season goes. Let's see if it works. For all the hard work, everyone can hit the money and pick a sticker. Says Aaron Flynn. Rosie saying thanks for the support, Jason. Indeed, would like to also as well say thanks again, Jason Carney. It was a Heim time at Lime Rock Park. Mike Joy told ARCA drivers to start their engines at Lime Rock Park. Indeed. Mike Joy on the call there. Didn't get to see it. I was at the racetrack, but Mike Joy always doing a great job, period. And Lime Rock Park, one of the tracks that is close to his heart for sure. We talked about this, BB, but I heard Zilich say that he doesn't heel toe. Said when he was driving karts in Europe that didn't have a clutch, says Dirty Def. Okay, so Zilich does not heel toe. So that's interesting. And he was able to make, I think he was turning the fastest laps at COTA, even though he was wrecked. So maybe his style, he can get it done without heel toeing because he's got some Trans Am experience. Maybe he's got a different technique than SVG that helps him. So all kinds of ways to peel a potato, I guess. Nathan Campbell, what's up, my friend? Oh, I forgot Gibbs got a new crew chief. Who is the crew chief? He doesn't have a new crew chief. Tyler Allen is still the crew chief. Chris Gabehart, the director of racing, is overseeing Tyler Allen while Tyler Allen crew chiefs, which means Chris Gabehart is making the calls. But Tyler Allen is still technically the crew chief for Ty Gibbs. And the reason they're doing that is because it's an all hands on deck. They're trying to get Ty Gibbs into the playoffs. Let's see. Kyle, do you think Smoke comes back at the Dodgers team? Says Nathan Campbell. I don't know. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Says in between the lanes. Indeed. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Honestly thought Ty was better his rookie season than he is now, which is bizarre. You figure he would get better the more he learned about the car in the series. Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. But I think, like I said, let the whole career play out. He's very young, so I'm not going to hit the alarm bell just yet. BB, it's Denny Hamlin Tuesday. Hey, Denny Hamlin Tuesday. What's up, everybody? Denny Hamlin Tuesday. I missed it. What did Pitbull say on stage? Says they're deaf. He didn't say anything. A fan rushed the stage, and Pitbull punched him right in his face and just took care of business. So don't rush the stage on Pitbull. Let's see. Wahaha, BB. Well, Joey takes it to 110%. LOL. Says Shy. To be fair, Joey has repeatedly mentioned how he did a lot wrong on and off the track in his early years in Cup. He grew up in Cup, literally. Says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, that's a good point. He wasn't ready himself to move up. God bless Matt Kenseth for cold trickling Logano, who says Shy. I struck out on race picks last week. BB says me too. Everybody wrecked except for I had Chase Elliott, but everybody else I had on the team wrecked and finished in the 30s. I had Team Penske and Chase Elliott, and it didn't work out well for me at all. First stage worked out well, but after that, it really went to crap. Ty Dillon and Denny Hamlin took out my favorite drivers, at least for my fantasy week, except for Chase Elliott. Ty Dillon and Austin Dillon are two completely different people, says NASCAR News Kid. Indeed, they are. They separated by height. Lake Speed was the first United States to ever win the World Karting Championship. I love hearing him talk about it. Says Dirty Def. Hey, so there you go. He was. I didn't know he was the first one. I just knew he won it, and it was crazy. It's crazy who he beat to win it. Like just the directions of both great drivers. Just the directions of their career. Like that's another one you can talk about. If you took that moment and stopped it in time, you would think, Lake Speed is going to be the next Ayrton Senna. But as it turned out, Ayrton Senna was the next Ayrton Senna. So it is what it is. I've come around to Demi Hamroyd, but I will always dislike old toast, says Shy. So there you go. Shy likes Hamlin now, but he doesn't like Logano. Let's see. Brian Karsten ties a bust that too many are in denial about, says Jamie Schweitzer. So Jamie Schweitzer is on the team. Ty Gibbs is a bust. Bowman's teammates don't really thank him after Alex pushes them. Says NASCAR News Kid. Off topic, does anyone else think the NASCAR Hall of Fame criteria has become watered down? I don't know that it's necessarily become watered down. The only I don't care who they put in, to be honest. But the only thing that really irks me about the Hall of Fame is that they are intentionally leaving Smokey Yunick out. Now that irritates the shit out of me. Like, I don't know what the beef is. I know what the beef is. Like, him and Bill France Sr. didn't get along, but they're both gone. Let it be. Let bygones be bygones. Smokey Yunick doesn't only deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Smokey Yunick deserves a wing in the Hall of Fame because he is the reason the rule book is this thick. Because when he came in there, the rule book was this thick. Smokey Yunick made the rule book that thick. Smokey Yunick never got caught cheating. Smokey Yunick was so good that they had to write more rules. Put Smokey Yunick in the Hall of Fame. Stop being so petty, NASCAR. Smokey Yunick deserves to have a wing in the Hall of Fame, not just be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And that's the bottom line. Anyway, can you imagine the Alex Bowman replacement rumors if he had pushed the 6 car? Says Joseph Wooten. Oh, that would have been crazy. That would have been hilarious. Good call, Joseph Wooten. That would have been hilarious. Kyle, have you seen the composite car for Cadillac? Says Nathan Campbell. I have not, and I don't think Cadillac is going to race in the Cup Series. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's 4chan levels of gaslighting. Cadillac's not racing in the Cup Series because they don't want to get. Cadillac is trying to compete with Mercedes, Lexus, and all that. So that's who Cadillac will race against. They are not going to go to a series where they get beat by Chevrolets, Dodges, and Fords, because if you get beat by Chevrolet, Dodge, Ford, and Toyota, why would somebody pay an extra $50,000 for your vehicle when you're watching on the racetrack them get beat by, Chevys, Fords, Dodges? It's not going to happen from a marketing perspective. So that's just my thoughts on it. Could be completely wrong, but I doubt it. Is it just me, or does William Byron and Chase Elliott not show any emotion? Different strokes for different folks. Martin Truex Jr., Paul Menard, those guys didn't show any emotion either. It just depends. You don't want you can't have all drivers flying off the handle and being crazy like the Busch brothers, and you can't have all drivers being stoic. Drivers have their own personalities. Sometimes they choose to show them, sometimes they don't. No worries. I met Joey 4 times. He's been very generous with his time. Jimmy Johnson, plenty of personality, never shows it. No worries. Met Joey 4 times. He's been very generous with his time while testing the next gen car at Charlotte Motor Speedway, November and December 2021. Says Jamie Schweitzer. Indeed. Everybody, I try to tell people this all the time. Everybody that meets Joey Logano is like, dang, Joey Logano is a nice guy. Just the way it is. he might drive aggressively, but you meet him in person, you'll probably come away thinking he's a pretty nice guy. I met him at Charlotte. He was in a golf cart, and we went up and talked to him. There's footage of it, but I think the camera stopped filming when we went up and talked to him. But super nice guy. This is when he was driving the Home Depot number 20. But yeah, super nice guy. I think if anybody meets him, they'll come away with the impression that he's a nice guy. Ty Gibbs is Morgan Shepherd. Says Jamie Schweitzer. I need to be YouTube nice. Say dinky. Side donkey. My finger typing sucks. Says Shaw. What else would you type with, Shaw? If your finger type, what do you type with when you're not typing with your finger? I don't really want to know the answer from you, Shaw, to be honest with you. If Cletus goes to Ram, does Ram find a teammate that has a personality complete opposite of Cletus to create drama and views? That's interesting. But I think if I had to guess, it's not apples to apples because it's totally different what Ken Block did, but I think they would use Cletus McFarlane in a Ken Block type of way, where totally different type of YouTubers, but he would make Ken Block type of Cletus McFarlane videos as opposed to, Ken Block made Ken Block videos. Nobody will ever do the stunt driver stuff that he was doing, but Cletus McFarlane does Cletus McFarlane shit, and that's what Ram, they would get him to do videos like that. And of course, drive, their ARCA cars or trucks or, whatever Cletus would be driving in his attempt to get his super speedway license to drive at Daytona, which is his ultimate goal. That's what he's going for. Silly season could get interesting depending on the outcome of the lawsuit, says Joseph Wooten. Yeah, that is a big lawsuit over there. Whatever happens with the legacy Rick Ware deal is going to be huge. Huge. I heard Ryan Blaney said on DBC this week that it would take years to learn how to heel toe. But the supercar drivers on the podcast said it would take a weekend, says Dirty Def. Yeah, and I think the truth is probably somewhere in between. Somewhere in between, right? There's no way it's going to take years to do it. It might take you 6 months. So that's you know, I think that's a fair estimate of time. They're professional race car drivers. They'll get it. Well, thanks for the explain on Gibbs, but kind of weird, says Shop. Let's see. BB, my picks for this weekend are SVG and Kyle Busch. I haven't even looked at the numbers for this weekend. So I'm just gonna go. I like the SVG pick. Kyle Busch. He's in a slump right now. Hopefully he can get out of it. But I'm gonna go SVG. Justin Haley had good speed here last year. Does Spire have anything? Carson Hocevar had good speed at the road course for Spire. So Justin Haley, I guess, would be my dark horse as far as that goes. But don't sleep on Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman has won this race before as well. Yep, the France family should do the right thing and put Smokey in, says Dirty Def. I agree. It's one of those things that really just completely irritates the ever-living snot out of me, in case you guys couldn't tell from that wild tangent that I went on about Smokey Unick. I was at Darlington and Atlanta, and as a Byron fan, I can't figure out which hurts more, watching my driver dominate and lose at the end, or getting wrecked early and end up on the hook. Ryan, I would go get wrecked early and end up on the hook, because then you didn't waste 3 or 4 hours hoping he would win, only to have it snatched away at the end. I would rather wreck early and finish last and get it over with and know that you're going to have a bad day than to be having a good day. And then I've said this a bunch of times. I would rather finish dead last than finish second, because you finish dead last, you can sleep. There's something happened and there was nothing you could have done about it. You finish second, you're always like, oh, what if we did this? What if we had tried this? Like, you're always like, what could we have done differently to win, to not finish second? So I would rather finish last than second, to be honest with you. But that's just me. Smokey Unick not in the Hall of Fame. Another Pete Rose type slam, says Nicole. Indeed. That's a good that's an apropos comparison. Shout out to One Wise Guy for mentioning Bobby Bonilla Day. Indeed, it is Bobby Bonilla Day. Bobby Bonilla gets another 1.2 million on July 1st from the Mets until 2035. 9 more years to go. Bobby Bonilla should be in the Hall of Fame, or at least his agent. My buddy on Instagram told me that one. I don't want to use his name because I don't know if he wants me to use his name IRL, but shout out to him. He said Bobby Bonilla's agent deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, some type of Hall of Fame. They need a Hall of Fame for agents, and he needs to be the first one in there. Only way the first 2 people that go into the Hall of Fame as agents are Michael Jordan's agent for getting him all that money. I think David Falk was his name, and the other agent is whoever Bobby Bonilla's agent was, which maybe he's David Falk too. I don't know. Who's Bobby Bonilla's agent? Somebody let me know. And I will still be suspicious, says Shaw. Only way Old Toast will get me to get over him is to buy me a beer, and Old Toast will get me to get over him is to buy me a beer, and I will still be suspicious, says Shaw. So there you go, Joey Logano. Buy Shaw a beer, and he will be sort of your friend, or sort of pull for you, but he'll always keep an eye on you. Have you seen the video on whether Joey and his wife test drive a Bronco with a salesman? Yeah, those videos are cool. They remind me of the old Pepsi commercials when guys would dress. And obviously, it's all staged and fake. Don't get me wrong. But they're fun. They're fun videos to make for sure. I like the old Pepsi videos with like Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving got a whole movie made out of it. But Uncle Drew Pepsi commercials where they dress up as different people. Cool deal. Bring them back. Bring it back, Pepsi. Run it back. Suarez wins Chicago and makes the playoffs, says Cassandra. That at this point, that's a good storyline to pull for. I'm glad you said that. Suarez needs to win a race and lock into the playoffs. That would be the best storyline going out. And hopefully, I think he's got something lined up already, but hopefully he gets a win and gets whatever he's got lined up gets more lucrative for him at the very least. I was watching an interesting documentary on Leroy Yarborough, a talented driver with a very dark and sad ending, says Brian Carson. Yeah, they didn't know anything about traumatic brain injuries back then, and it ended about as badly as it could end for Leroy Yarborough, unfortunately. I think Danny B has I think it's Danny B. I think Danny B has a YouTube movie, documentary, video about Leroy Yarborough, if I'm not mistaken. So check that one out on Danny B Talks. Since it's Denny Hamlin Tuesday, I'll mention he chose a Reddick win in the in-season tournament. Let's see here. Over Chase Elliott, homer pick maybe, says Ryan. Maybe, but so far so good. A lot of people that were picking, I think a lot of people were picking Kyle Larson to win the tournament. And when the first track is a restrictor plate or a super speedway, I should say, track, that's a tough draw for Kyle Larson. He doesn't have great luck at him, and he didn't run bad. He just didn't outrun Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick was who he was up against. He didn't outrun Tyler Reddick. I can see Chase Elliott denying any current Toyota Cup drivers from being a Cup champion again this year, says Jamie Schweitzer. Is this the year for Chase? Look, he was already 5th in points, now 2nd in regular season points. I've been trying to tell people he's having a good season. Now he's starting to get wins. If Chase Elliott can get hot at the right time, in this bad season he was having, he was already 5th in points. So if they put it together the second half of the year, Chase Elliott could easily be your Cup Series champion, which would be ironic because everybody was like, why is Chase Elliott having such a bad year? And I'm like, he's 5th in points and he's having a bad year. So if he puts it together while he's 5th in points, having his bad year, imagine how dynamite of a team that's going to be. So I'm telling you, don't sleep on Chase Elliott. I'm with you, Jamie Schweitzer. Cletus already drove Daytona and ARCA, says Nicole. Yeah, Cup Series. He's looking for his Cup Series license so he can run the Daytona 500. That's his goal. That's why he's trying to get his super speedway license. 100%. He's trying to make the Daytona 500. That's what all the ARCA stuff and all the other stuff is all about. What will be the better race, Chicago or Sonoma? I wasn't excited about it when it was announced, but I've already enjoyed the street course because it's different and there's good places to pass, says Dirty Def. I don't know. I feel like Chicago has been a pretty good race just about every time. And I don't know. I like both of them. Flip a coin. I'm going to say Chicago because we're probably not ever coming back to Chicago. So I'm hoping Chicago's the better race of the two. Because we'll probably never do Chicago again. Chase Elliott goes back-to-back at Chicago, says Joseph Wooten. Hey, there you go. Chase Elliott going to make it 2 in a row here. I thought, according to Joseph, I thought Sonoma was surprisingly good last year after the repave, says Dirty Def. A lot of people thought that the repave, including Denny Hamlin, that was the famous old man beef on Twitter last year between Denny Hamlin and not Bruton Smith. Oh, God. Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith and Denny Hamlin on Twitter. That was the famous old man beef on Twitter last year betweenst those two. Kyle, I think Trackhouse is being bought into by Red Bull, and that's why Daniel's out, says Nathan Campbell. Could be. We will see. Shout out to the Ford Bronco Heritage Edition. 4-door, says in between the lanes. Yeah, that is a nice ride for sure. If you're into those, I never got into the Jeeps and the Broncos. They just don't ride well. I'm not for me as a daily. Jeff Gordon was awesome when he scared that. Jeff Gordon was awesome when he scared that sports writer and said his previous commercial was completely fake. He picked him up in a taxi and scared him to death, says Dirty Def. Indeed. Fun fact, William Byron is not related to Red Byron, and Bubba Wallace is not Rusty's son. Hey, there you go. Strange but true. Those are both facts. I put the Joey Logano Ford Bronco Raptor on my story. I need to go check that one out. I need to look at the specs. We all need to see the specs on that one. Dennis Gilbert was Bobby Bonilla's agent who was responsible for that incredible contract. So there you go. David Falk and Dennis Gilbert in the Sports Agent Hall of Fame. They both need to go in there. I heard that Leroy Yarborough knocked Bill France out of Talladega in 1969 when the drivers did not race. That would not surprise me. That's if you look at the way his life ended, that was I don't know if that was before or after the incident, but that would go right along with Leroy Yarborough behavior after the traumatic brain injury. Finished last in fantasy this week due to the wreck. Yeah, I wasn't far behind you. I only scored 74 points, so it was yeah. I was right there with you, brother. Sorry about that, Delmer. I was in the same boats. I totally agree. Elliott, a bad year. He is doing fine, says Shaw. Yeah, I don't get why people think he's having such a bad year. I saw a lot of videos. Why is Chase Elliott struggling? Brother, if 5th place in points is struggling, please, God, let me struggle like that in my life. God, I've seen what you've done for other people, and I want that in my life. I can see Colleague putting all their eggs in Allmendinger's basket, and next 2 races, probably only chance to make the playoffs, says Bruce Garvey. Yeah. So Allmendinger, definitely good at road courses. So yeah, throw all your assets, all your resources at an AJ Allmendinger road course win. I could see that for sure. And he's not bad at super speedways either, and neither is Ty Dillon. So just, I don't know, whatever resources you got, pull them together and you know, play a little Vegas odds and try to get, you know, one of those drivers locked in. BB, could you see Roger Penske buying Rockingham, adding lights, and holding NASCAR and IndyCar races there, says Jamie Schweitzer? I feel like either him or NASCAR itself has already bought the track, because Ben Kennedy France has already basically come out and said that he sees Rockingham being in NASCAR's future. And I don't think he would have made those comments if he didn't feel very confident that NASCAR had some type of control of that track. Elliott can easily catch fire this season like Blaney did in 23. Pretty similar. Well, doggone, Jesse. I was reading it, man. I'm a huge AJ fan, but he hasn't been good at Chicago for some reason, says Dirty Def. It's interesting that he's a really good road course racer, but he has struggled a little bit relative to how good he is pretty much everywhere else. He has not had those same results as Chicago. Does he get the ship righted here this year at Chicago? Chase is selling plenty of merchandise. He is doing fine. Yeah, for sure. IndyCars at Rockingham would be dangerous, says Delmer. Yeah, I mean, IndyCars are dangerous anywhere, really, honestly, if you really want to. It's open wheel. it's not as safe as closed door. Like, racing itself is not safe, so I don't know. I could see it going either way. I got a win in fantasy league. I had that Jones boy, says Sir Wood Rooster. Hey, there you go. Eric Jones had a good run for sure. Do you think Tim Brewer will ever make the Hall of Fame? He should be in the Hall of Fame. He's another one. I hope one day. The crew chiefs are going to be harder to get in, but some crew chiefs, Tim Brewer definitely deserves to be in there for sure. The crew chiefs are going to have to wait a longer period of time, because only like one of them, and they have to compete with everybody else that ever worked on a race car to get into the Hall of Fame, including owners and stuff like that. So they get 1 slot a year, where drivers get 2 slots a year. So yeah, that's going to be a tough one. And then, like, you got your like legacy type of guys, like your old timers, and then they've got, you know, 1 slot for contributions to motorsports type situation for your like broadcasters and things like that. Tim Brewer did some broadcasting there for a little while as well, so maybe he gets it's a 3-pronged attack going at it there. Let's see. Bring back Disney racetrack in Orlando. It's now a parking lot, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, unfortunately, the Disney racetrack, I feel like it was a good venue. Just was short-lived. Dale Inman, Hall of Fame crew chief. Indeed, Dale Inman. He's got 1 more championship than Richard, because I think he was the crew chief on was it Terry Labonte? Did he get one with Terry Labonte? I think he got one with Terry Labonte. Tim Brewer deserves to be in, and so does Jeff Hammond. Funny, because they hate each other from their time at Junior Johnson. Yeah. That was a bad deal that went down. That was really cool. If you've ever watched the Dale Jr. Download with Tim Brewer, he actually talks about that Jeff Hammond situation and how it all went down. And I think it's more civil now, obviously, but they definitely still I don't think they like how all that played out at the time. I'm leading in the in-season bracket challenge on Earth 2. Unfortunately, so is everyone else after Atlanta, says Ryan. Hey, there you go. The bracket challenge for sure. I knew, like, if NASCAR was smart, they would put the super speedway race at the end of it and in the middle. That way you've got more perfect brackets, or a chance to have more perfect brackets going into the first super speedway race, as opposed to, you know, just give everybody a better chance. But having the first race be a super speedway race, almost impossible that anybody's going to have a perfect. It's almost impossible anybody's going to have a perfect bracket anyway. But it's almost impossible for a super speedway race for anybody to have a perfect bracket after that. So having it as the first race in a bracket challenge is an interesting, and by interesting, I mean stupid way of going about the first race in a bracket challenge. Unless they really just don't want to give up that $1 million that they promised to whatever fan can get a perfect bracket. So maybe that's their strategy. Yeah, we'll give you $1 million for something that you're statistically more likely to get hit by lightning than winning that bracket challenge. Allegedly. I didn't look that up. I'm just guessing. Are they expecting rain for the Chicago race, says Jamie Schweitzer? I don't know, but it shouldn't really matter, honestly, because it's a road course, or a street course. Terry Labonte and Piedmont Airlines, says Dirty Duff, when Dale Emmon was the crew chief for that 8th championship for him. Once Mike Joy retires, how long until he is in the Hall of Fame? He should be first ballot. So what is it, 4 or 5 years they got to wait? So as soon as that's up, he should be first ballot, no doubt. Chase can easily catch fire after the Atlanta win, similar to Blaney in 23. Blaney had a down year in 2022 and then won the 600 and took off. 24 was a down year for Chase. This win could be a momentum booster. Excellent point, Jesse Daly. For sure, that's a great comparison, a perfect comparison, if you will. So yeah, is this the year? That should have been the poll question, but the poll question itself is actually doing pretty good. But yeah, that is an apt prediction or comparison. This could be the year. This could be Chase Elliott's second championship. Looking good right now for sure. Keep more people on the hook. Should have made Atlanta at least week 2. Yep, I agree with you. Now nobody is invested. Exactly. Nobody cares anymore. They can't win the million. The people that did care, I feel like a lot of people, myself included, didn't care. But somebody did. Somebody in the comments made a good point, and I need to bring that up. They said it doesn't make any sense to me, because I follow it every weekend and I'm looking at every driver every weekend and seeing where they are. He said the average fan is not following and looking at every single driver every single weekend. So for the casual average fan, this is great because it makes them look at every other driver. And I was like, you know what? That is a great point. That is something I overlook because I'm too far in the weeds with it. I am looking at every driver every week, and I don't think about. I'm probably not normal compared to a normal NASCAR fan. A normal NASCAR fan is looking at their driver, and they're not really paying attention to anybody else. And now with the bracket challenge, you do have to pay attention to everybody else. So it does bring a casual fan in from that perspective. I thought that was a great point. So I wish I remember who said that, but whoever said it in the comment section, that was a great comment, and good point. Good point. You made a very good counterpoint to my argument on the video about not caring about the bracket. So I want to give you a shout out there for sure. I think the rain is when SVG heel toe is a big advantage. Says Dirty Dev. That's a good point. That's a good point. That could be when it plays into effect more so, saving tire and keeping them because once the rain lets up, those tires fall off pretty quick. Jimmy Spencer should do pit road walk instead of Mikey, says Jamie Schweitzer. He with a crying towel in hands. Hey, BB, hope you're doing good, bud. Enzo, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing good as well. BB, you said bracket challenge and stupid the perfect number of times in that description, says Bruce Garvey. I appreciate it, my friend. New rule, no more Mikey waving the green flag, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah. No more letting Michael Waltrip get loose and then being on TV either. I feel like he popped a few silver tabs. And he was feeling good about life, and he was living his best life. Unfortunately, the cameras were on. So yeah, Mikey, we need Mikey turned back down to 5. Mikey at 11, that's too much. The world is not ready for Mikey at 11. Let's see. Not sure Jimmy Spencer could walk pit road. Maybe if he has a golf cart, says Delmer Kaufman. Wow. Shots fired. Saying Spencer doesn't have cardio. We'll see. I can't speak to that. Yeah, and I think it helps from locking up the rear tires under braking in the wet. Yeah, for sure. It stops it from wheel hopping and hydroplaning and all that good stuff. Good point. Yeah, for sure. Definitely an advantage as far as that goes. Let's see where the poll question's at real quick. Connor Zilich coming to Cup allegedly. Too soon, 30%. 23% say it's the perfect time. 38% say it's good to get experience now for the future. And 9% saying that they should have kept Suarez. That is where the poll is at right now. And let's see. Next one is, I know you were busy Saturday at the track, but Lime Rock race was rough. Cool venue, but nowhere to pass. Okay, so I guess it was difficult to pass there. So a lot of people were pointing that out. And I guess Corey Heim had a big lead on the rest of the field, or sort of whoever got out there, got out front, could stretch it out pretty good. I saw some people talking about that. I still haven't seen that race, but I guess I need to go watch it to give an opinion on it. So I guess that was sort of the takeaway that I saw. The vast majority of people had that takeaway. I got to agree, Spencer needs an old man cart to drive around running into and over peeps, says Sha. Always appreciate your live shows. You do a great job, says Brian. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all are the biggest part of it. Without the chat and the questions and comments, it would not be as fun. It'd be hilarious, says Shaw, talking about Spencer running over people in a golf cart until insurance steps in and says something. You can't do that. Insurance, the thieves of fun, but also they keep us safe and they protect us from ourselves. All right, final results of the poll question. Coming up next. Why don't they go to Stafford, just to 45 minutes up the road, and say it's a nice venue? That way it roots around. I don't know why they don't want to run at Stafford. That's a good question. Maybe one day they remedy that. I know. I think it was Matt Weaver. Matt Weaver was calling for that on Twitter. So maybe that's what they do. Great chat today, says Cassandra. Indeed. Always appreciate the chat. Earth 2, Junior Motorsports starts a Wood Brothers-like relationship with RCR Racing after getting a charter next year, says Jamie Schweitzer. That would be perfect. And at this point, with how much money that dude spent to buy Ware Racing, Junior is definitely going to need partners. So that would be one way for Junior to get into it for sure. I remember another Mexican driver, Chico, being the name for the bad results of their teams last year. It turned out he wasn't the problem. Sonoda and Lawson sucked, and now Chico is looking like a boss. Look, man, Chico can drive. Like I never understood why people ever doubted that he was a good, like, I don't understand why people ever thought he was the problem. So to your point, Enzo, very, very good point. Yeah, he was never, and I'm a super F1 casual, but that much was pretty obvious. And I like Yuki. I think Yuki is a good driver. So I think he's getting about as much as the car has got out of it. But I do think Chico's probably one notch above Yuki as far as talent goes. If from what I've seen, and I'm a casual, so I'm far from an expert. Quattro, what's up, my friend? Big day for Quattro. He's got a new driver coming in. He's saying goodbye to an old driver, but he is big. He is in the this is the right time category to bring up young Connor Zilich. So I know Quattro, he's fired up. Connor Zilich, one of his dudes, Ross Chastain, his main, but he is a Trackhouse man through and through. So I know it's a big day for Quattro for sure. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Spencer would be good in the booth together, says Delmer Kaufman. Yeah, I mean, Kurt Busch and Jimmy Spencer, they would have to have definitely somebody in between them, probably, I'm betting here. Connor Zilich, says Quattro. So there you go. Quattro on the Connor Zilich trains. He's in the all caps. That's how you know. It's Connor Zilich time for Quattro. Good night, BB. Great show. We miss you, Dick Trickle. Indeed. Hats off to the main man, Dick Trickle, number 84, Rookie of the Year, Miller High Life, living his best life. We do miss him every day for sure. There's the Dick Trickle tribute right there, number 99 late model car that he made famous, over 500, over 1,000. Who knows? He won so many races in that rascal and cars like it. All right, final results of the poll question. 29% say it's too soon. 24% say it's the perfect time. 39% say it is good to get experience now for the future, and 8% saying they should have kept Suarez. All right, that's how this one ends off. In other news, we have NFL football this month. Hall of Fame game, July 31st. There you go. NFL right around the corner at the end of this month. Hall of Fame game. Until the next one, you guys take them easy. Peace.